Hi guys, I know I've been away for a while, but I wanted to share this little video I came across. Of course, I'm subscribed to some of these other channels, and this one was quite a good one because, again, I've been talking about this on my channel about how the underworld is actually on top of the world now. And this guy, Stephen Banoon, he is on it. He knows exactly what's going on, but he gives the more religious biblical perspective as well. This guy is going beyond what the Bible just preaches, and he sees what's happening. When you can compare notes with all of the events around the world, plus, what the Bible has said and what other people have said, the science and spiritual aspects of our world are starting to merge and come together in order to give us the bigger picture. And this is where this guy goes. So he talks about how the demonic entities are being brought into our reality, because as he goes into this video, he starts talking about how this scientist is stating that the dream state is actually being made into part of our reality because the spirit realm exists just beyond our visual spectrum. This is why it's happening this way. The spirits are everywhere at all times, but our auric field is the natural field of energy that we emit that keeps the spirits from coming into our bodies. But because of the food supply, because of the poisoning, the great poisoning of man in all areas of our life, these things are now able to get into our auric field, come through the auric field, and attach at the back of the belly button. So it's on the inside of the body, at the base of the spine, kind of near the belly button is where these things attach themselves. And especially people have different stomach issues or they have physical issues down in their abdomens, and they'll typically describe a discomfort in the area of the stomach. It's got to be around the navel. This is usually where they hang out, and they have to be removed from the person, and they can be done through hypnosis and other means. But this is happening on such a level, and people are not aware. So this is the greatest thing that we can do, is to raise awareness about what's happening. That's why I'm constantly talking about this. These things are real because humanity has not known themselves fully, and we've been addicted to the material plane, and we think that the material plane is all there is in this reality, in this experience. They don't believe that they have a spirit that is attached to something greater outside of themselves, and that greater aspect is the 7 rays of light that are called the Elohim. And the Elohim is Mercury, Mars, the moon, the sun, Venus, Jupiter, Saturn. There are 7 bodies that create our physical body because their resonant energy is a sound frequency that merges together in unison. They create the light spectrum that we see. This is in astrotheology. This is in the zodiac. That's why these birth charts are so important. They can know you fully without you even knowing yourself fully. That's what's crazy about it. Somebody wrote the playbook for us to go by, but nobody's really paying attention to it. This is the most important thing that we can learn about ourselves, is astrology. And then we'll know why we came here and what is this experience. But people don't look into the science of the stars. It's the spirit science, basically. And there is a book that's called The Light of Egypt that goes into a lot of astrology and our connection to the stars. This is the most high knowledge, guys. Magic of spirit is the highest knowledge, the knowledge that was lost so long ago. I am looking into these different aspects. I'm looking into the druidic practice of knowing nature and the functions of nature, the spirit bond between us and song, and becoming an ovate, a bard, and a druid, and also looking into Rosicrucianism, because Rosicrucianism follows a philosophy, not a religion. And these things are on the rise right now. And I feel like these are the foundations of truth that I've been looking for. Everybody's looking for something in this world. And for myself, I want to embrace my spirit more. And so the material world becomes less valuable. And the spirit is the greatest thing. And the spirit is tied to nature and all things in the natural world. How can we heal the natural world? Well, when we heal the natural world, we heal ourselves. This has been one of my lessons about when I heal people with the crystal and my breath work that I do. I actually healed myself. So I've proven it to myself in many different ways. You know, on this journey through this lifetime, I've seen so much and I've learned so much just by questioning and observing very closely all of the different occurrences that have happened. And it's put me on this path to be before you on this day, creating these videos to share my own experiences. And I've had some interesting ones and encounters with other people as well that I would never have fathomed. But because I open up to people, they open up to me and they trust me because I'm very honest and share freely my knowledge, which is also spoken of in the Emerald Tablets. It says, do not hold your knowledge back from the ignorance or the wise, but to convene with both of them, all perspectives, embrace everyone for whatever their perspective may be. It's very important to treat people like your brothers and your sisters and to just respect them no matter where they are in their journey. Most important things. That's why I say, you know, when you read the Emerald Tablets of Thoth book that is translated by Doriel, supposedly, I didn't see anything of any evils in that book. So when people say Thoth is from the underworld and he's from hell, I don't know about that, because there are watchers in this existence who watch things. And supposedly Thoth was a scribe of knowledge. If you are a scribe of knowledge, you will be a purveyor of all knowledge. You will know good and evil. And you are just a keeper of records, just to write the things that you come across. And what you do with those things determines whether it's good or evil. So, and they say that there is no good or evil in this world. There's only light and dark, and that's it. It's a duality. And if we can just take this perspective as an observer, then we become the ones who are more enlightened, because we're not exerting our energy either for or against either one. And we walk the middle path to the golden light of the sun. That's the yellow brick road. I just wanted to share this video by Stephen Banoon on his channel, Israeli News Live. I want to promote this. The message needs to be spoken of about the demonic entities, about how CERN is opening up portals to these demonic entity realms. They are altering time. They've been, you know, messing with things that they shouldn't. They've been trying to open the bottomless pit that they call the bottomless pit. I believe it does have a bottom, but it's a very dark void, basically. And it's very, very deep into the ground. And that's why our government, the shadow government, has been overtaken by these demonic entities, by the reptilians, by whatever else is out there. And they have been busy using humans and tricking them into thinking they are human. And they are collaborating to open up these places for more dark spirits, because the serpents are very jealous of us. They cannot ascend to the heights that we can, but only if we choose to ascend in our consciousness rather than descend or just remain in a point of stasis without advancing ourselves. You know, that's our free will choice to either stay here in this existence or to move forward into the next. And there is an evolution of soul. I do believe this, and I'm going to be interviewing some very interesting people. I've actually met in my town. Some people have died and come back. and I told them that I would like to interview them. So I will be doing that in the near future and hopefully getting enough information to share with you on my channel, because they did experience some things when they traveled from their body. And it's interesting because the people don't really know about each other's experiences. I think they may be acquaintances of some sort, but they don't know each other fully. And both of these people have died and they have something to say. So I'm going to be doing that in the future. But for now, here's this video, and I'm just going to share some of the cut parts that I've edited out and wanted to share because this video is kind of long. So here we go.
Not against the support of the Jewish people, mind you, but it is, you know, and of course, sometimes I get accused of being anti-Semitic. Well, I also come from a Jewish background, so I'm not anti-Semitic. I am wanting to expose those that are saying they're Jews or not and are trying to run the nation right into the ground, all on the pretense that this is some kind of a godly thing that's going on. So these were things that I had to wake up to as well. So I don't fault people not really recognizing that it is biblical. The things that I'm sharing with you is very biblical. And but I think what happens is because of the way it was written in the Bible and the way they allowed things to come out, you really have to look deep into what writings are there, especially if it's Paul or Jesus or anybody else. People normally just take it, oh, that's spiritual. You know, it's a lot deeper than spiritual. We are really fighting a war, and that war is about to get much worse.
Let me explain something, though.
Okay.
Within a 1 foot by 1 foot cube of matter, there's enough power, right? Everywhere, there's enough power to run everything on Earth for 150 years. That's what's in what people call the East.
Okay.
That's what CERN is extracting, right? That's what they're tampering. That's what they're toying with. They're pulling things out of another dimension, and they're absolutely going to. They're going to go in there. They peered in there, and in fact, they first peered in there in the 50s. They're going to go in there in a different way this time again.
I had a guy here.
CERN is a completion of a project that began in the 50s.
After I got done preaching last night on the Beast Kingdom Rising, it was a good crowd here too. A man came up to me and at the end and said, "You don't know me," he said, "but I am a scientist. I'm a molecular scientist." But he said, "I know a lot of my friends are physicists and scientists, and some of my friends have worked for CERN and some are still working at CERN." So he said, "I'd like to share one thing with you." And I said, "Okay, sir." He said, "They are 1/64th of an inch from piercing the veil." And he said, and I said, "What?" He goes, I'm talking metaphorically. What I'm trying to tell you is they know how to do it. They want to do it. They're afraid of what's on the other side. And they're trying to communicate with what's on the other side to get permission to do it because they're afraid of what is waiting for them.
In which they've had examples.
See, Paul says, "What's on the other side?" Mike, they have had examples. That's what we're going to play there, because Mike's going to talk about. They've already had examples, and then in 39:30, he's going to say CERN is tampering with time, and then Mike goes into the thoughts. Most of our thoughts are external. Now, one of my teachings that I'm going to be doing here this evening after I finish this video is going to be dealing with that because I am very concerned that especially as the demonic forces that are running our governments and stuff and them trying to open up these veils and bring these entities in, we're about to be bombarded like never before. So when I'm playing this information for you here, this is not haphazard. This really, I feel, is important for you to understand the technology side of this. And then we're going to go into the biblical aspect of this too, so that you are really prepared, as Paul said, putting on the full armor of God. This is not just some kind of metaphoric thing that Paul is talking about. you're in for a ride, and we're in for a ride that you ain't never been on before, and I want you to be ready. So let's listen a little bit more here.
They've had examples. They know what happens when you tamper with exotic materials, when you're tampering with forces they shouldn't tamper with. When they back engineer things that have been left here for a long time, they know exactly what happens. They know the horror stories behind it. And it's not the attractive UFO picture everybody would want to have covered.
No.
Well, let's go ahead and face it. There are things on this earth that are better left alone. But mankind did not leave them alone. They've had advantages from it, yes. But it has cost a lot of lives. CERN ultimately will... CERN tampers with time. CERN tampers with time.
Anytime you tamper
with dimensions.
Really?
You're going to tamper with, you can't.
But let me just say though, why he's saying that about it tampers with time is because, like I mentioned to you from the other video there, CERN opens up. It can open up a wormhole. It can literally open up the ether, go from one side to the other. It manipulates time. We know that through CERN, we've already discovered at least 7 other dimensions. Now, that's at least what I've been made privy to. No telling what else out there exists. And the next 2 dimensions beyond this, we have Earth just like our Earth, same exact solar system, everything you can see, but it is in a different time warp, a different time period. One of those planets are in the 50s. Now, Mike talks about, and I've shared this with you guys before, he talks about we've lost people. We've actually sent people over to these other dimensions where these other Earths are, and we have trackers on them. We know they're there. We have not lost the ability that they're there, but we can't get them back. So imagine that. A lot could be said on these things. Okay, let's listen more.
You can't tamper with a dimension without tampering with time. And so if you tamper with time, where people are contents, you're going to have a melding of almost like the dream world, hell's world, and this world.
Yes,
all one
there you go.
And this will be beyond the person's will. It doesn't matter if the person wants that to happen or not. They'll be subject to it, prone to it. So voices, for example, if people would just stop for a second.
Now, I want you to notice, though, where Mike says is you're not going to be able to do anything about it. And we have more than one type of way that scientists are tampering with the other side. CERN is one way. CERN is opening a portal, a gateway. It is opening an avenue of demonic entities that, as I've said before, this is how I think they're going to bring Planet X in. As we were talking about, I think is over in the book of Revelation last night, where when that pit is open and the smoke and everything rose out of it, very similar to that of what you have in the cauldron. And then when you look at the book of Revelation, oh my gosh, it's very similar, very scary, in fact, the way it looks when you're reading that. But as I said, though, he's talking about these entities and things that, that's going to open up the minds to the dream world, like a dream world, but you're going into a demonic world. Yes, very, very true. And I'm going to share with you here some of the information that I did as well, like what prompted the building of CERN. There was actually a device that was discovered in the Middle East there, and it's that device that they took to the underground facility, which is about 27 stories underground, 27 stories in an underground bunker there, where this device was taken to, where scientists were studying it, trying to figure it out, etc. And so I'm going to take you, like I said, really on the inside of the conversations that we have, so you can kind of get a better idea of what I actually get to hear myself. So anyway, he says that the movie Stargate is predicated on an event in Colorado, and there are several mountains there with different types of bunkers, including for nuclear war, et cetera. And another bunker was for scientific analysis. And there's where the device that they had discovered in the Middle East, the device was actually housed in that facility, 27 stories underground. And I was told that the device it was like had like puzzle pieces around the perimeter of the circumference. And depending on the sequence, you rotated the inner ring to match the outer ring. And depending on the sequence you used to match the outer ring to align the puzzle up, it would have a certain reaction. Most of the time, the scientists had no results. But if you hit the right sequence, it would create some sort of a wormhole. But it wasn't a wormhole like the movie, similar to a wormhole like, but similar to a door or a portal that CERN can open. We had an evil entity that literally came back, and granted, when I say the entity came back and it was CERN that did it, we never discussed which hadron collider we used to do that. So whether or not it was truly the one there in France or Switzerland, I should say, that goes underneath France, etc. there, I don't know. I just know that 2 scientists were killed as a result. And of course, they'll never make that public of what happens. But like I said, we have 6 of these that I'm aware of. And so, and who knows, they could probably have more. I just don't know the answer to all of that. But they opened up this wormhole, and to save time, what happened is while they were sitting in there one day, they got a call coming in. And they had to make a decision whether to answer it or not. I spoke about this yesterday. And this giant worm about the size of a human being come through when they answered the call. And he began to kill the scientists, the Marines that we have down there in the base there. They ended up killing this creature. And we've had another situation like that. And I brought that out on Patreon a long time ago. I forget what it was. Another situation where we had an entity come in. They ended up took 27 concrete trucks to pump enough concrete down into the, I think this was the one in Colorado, where they had to block the entire section off down there because they were afraid of this entity getting out. There's some crazy stuff that goes on, so yeah, when Mike talks about we've had experiences, we definitely have had some really, really bizarre experiences there. Now, what I find very interesting about this particular subject is that I also discovered too that the scientists have noticed a uptick in what is being termed to me as demonic possession. The scientists that are speaking about these things don't like to use the word demonic. They prefer to say that it is some type of high energy of some sort that is taken. Now, if you notice, this is also going in line with what Mike was saying on there, that it's like the dream world, but it's not really a dream world. It's a very demonic world there, okay? So, this is dealing with CERN, but we're also going to be dealing with inner Earth demonic entities as well. And I'm going to share that with you in just a moment too. Like I said, there's two different directions that we're being bombarded with this. Taking control of people and doing it at a very easily, doing it with ease, I should say. And that's very disturbing. I was told as a result of this that the scientists in the U.S. government believe that there is going to be a tremendous uptick in the number of criminal offenses that are going on, that there will be a massive increase in robberies, murders, rapes, you name it, because of these, well, as it was told to me, demonic influences that are so easily taking control of the people. I've stated to you guys many times before, as we read what Paul said, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, that's right, but against principalities and powers, spiritual wickedness in high places. There you go.
And think about something. Every time an issue goes wrong in their lives, instantly something starts speaking to their minds. It's almost like their mind becomes a table. And sometimes things will suggest that you do something this way, or that you do something the other way. And it's almost like a person will begin to listen to their thoughts. And the Bible says take captive your thoughts. So the Bible gives us a hint that not everything you think about is your thoughts, as most of the thoughts that we have are external. All one need to do is analyze. at CERN, when they start
Think of the scripture where the Bible says, "A man thinketh in his heart, so is he." What's in your heart, what you think with your heart, is what is you. What you think with your head may not be you. Your head is a receiver and transmitter, and it can receive external thoughts and things, whereas your heart, it's different. You know, people are being bombarded with thoughts, just like Mike is saying. These thoughts are just coming to you, and you have no idea. You know, probably 90% of the thoughts that come to your head are not even you. Think about that. Think about it. All right, let's continue on a little bit further.
tampering with pulling out antimatter and things like that, trying to produce this. The same effect hits everybody. They cannot act upon their thoughts. They have to really be sober. In fact, there is a drug that people take at that laboratory if it becomes too much. And it's somewhat like a tranquilizer, because what normally happens is a person can be overwhelmed by thoughts, by suggestions, it's almost like having a dream, but being awake at the same time, right?
Yeah.
So then the line between reality and the dream world becomes blurred, unfortunately. It's not a dream world. That's the spiritual world, right? That's wrapped around this planet, because they know, and when they talk about the veil, Pastor Paul, it is literally thin.
Yeah.
It's thinner than a human hair. And it's wrapped around all things that have life, which means right now between you and I, another dimension does exist, full of entities ready to get at us, right? The only thing holding that back is what God has placed over us. Evil can pierce that veil, right? Sheer evil. Why do you think they paid Aleister Crowley? Why do you think they paid all these?
I'll pause it there again before we go into the next part. Like I said, there's more than one way that this actually works. And that's what I want you to understand. I'm learning myself, you know, the dimensions around us, the ether that separates other dimensions is one way, but then there are also entities that are within the earth itself. The fallen angels are in prison, literally in prison inside the inner earth. If you ever see the video I did on Antarctica and the fallen angels in prison there, over 1 million views there. And I've done a couple of videos since then going deeper into that subject. I really need to create a playlist, I guess, just on that issue alone.
But there's this gulf, this body of water that's between the two. And it doesn't ever say it's a gulf of fire. I know some people might have the idea that it's a gulf of fire, but it's not. It's actually a body of water. Now, from many of the reports and the things that I have set in on before, I know that in the center of the earth, there is a huge ocean there. And just like the oceans that we have on our earth here, there are oceans inside the earth as well, and actually more in depth than what our own oceans are. And that ocean, that water separates from the center of the earth to our side here. And if you go deep enough, you can actually hit that ocean. And we've actually done that before in doing a drill operation off the coast of, out of the Pacific Ocean, off the coast of California, which actually allowed a prehistoric creature to enter into this side of the earth yet. But listen to the report here, what they said here. I thought,
by the way, that what I was talking about there, that's the movie Underwater that came out, I think, in 2020. Where there was a creature that was brought through. I brought that out before. I think I did share that publicly. It was on Patreon as well, but that creature there was like a Godzilla type of creature. That happened, I want to say I think when I did the video originally, I was thinking it was in the 1990s, could have been in the 1980s there. And I did another video about it, because there was another guy that actually did bring out the information on that as well. After I'd put the video out, and which just corroborated the information that I was sharing to be true. Of course, I knew the entire story, how we killed the creature, etc. But that thing came through because we pierced the ocean in there with that drill down in there. Now there has been some suggestion that it was because there's an interconnecting underwater cave that went from that side to the other that was near that oil rig that was put out there. But the way it was explained to me is that we actually created that opening as a result of that. Don't really know which one was the correct one, but we'll continue on to listen to this just for a second so you can hear a little bit more of what I was going to say on this.
I thought it was very interesting in light of that information, especially in light of the biblical passage right here. So the CIA believes that water serves as a barrier and that it serves as a containment method for those evil entities that are within the earth. And also for the spirits of the dead that can't seem to get back over on this side here. Because they know, like I said, they know that there's that huge body of water that separates between this side and that side there. But the CIA has noted, however, this huge increase in demonic energy or spirits are coming up on the earth. And oddly enough, they have linked fracking to the opening for these demonic spirits to be released. Fracking. And that kind of blew me away that they actually believe that fracking is opening up the portals. And why would fracking do that? Because it's punching a hole through to the center of the earth there. And they believe, as far as the demons at least, they're able to come through as a result of that. And out west, we have, according to what I was told here in the briefing, some 50,000 fracking wells. And even though we supposedly stopped using nuclear weapons to frack, it is a lie. We continue that same process.
No one to really play the clip there. It's where they're talking about the fracking. And I have been told that, yes, they still use nuclear devices to do the fracking. And now I don't quite understand how that works, but they seem to link that out west, we're having more of an increase of these entities that are entering into people. And like I said, the scientists have created devices where they can see the movement of that type of energy and stuff. They call it energy. Christians that are aware of this call it evil spirits. And of course, the uptick in crime and things like that, they kind of seem to think it's linked to this fracking. And as like I said, they believe that the water is some sort of containment of that. And I just happened to pull the scripture up because I remembered, in the New Testament where, the gulf that was fixed between that they could not pass and we cannot pass, etc., things like that. So I found that kind of interesting. Now, whether or not that's exactly right, or if their hypothesis on evil entities are coming up through as a result of fracking or whatever, I don't know the answer to that. I really don't. But the thing is, I find it noteworthy, though, just the fact that it's spoken about on there. Let me go ahead and go to this other one here. Sorry, wrong video. Let me go back over here to where Mike is speaking here. We'll go to the 43-minute mark. Mike says, angels has the key and knows who wants out. They're talking about the book of Revelation now. And because Paul brings that up there about, Apollyon, Abbydon, etc., that wants out of that bottomless pit. And this is where I really take issue about the ether. And this is why I wanted Paul to ask him the question about the ether. So, Mike, if you happen to ever listen to this video here, my question was because of the ether and CERN opening up that portal is that we're going to bring Satan in using our own technology. Listen into this here.
Released from heaven with the key to the bottomless pit to open this portal into the abyss, into the darkness. And you just got to wonder.
That crazy place.
Well, because that's why Shiva is out there, because the scientists from India that put Shiva out there is because Shiva is the god of the destroyer of the underworld. Is like the god of the underworld, and so they're trying to unlock the veil. They're trying to open the veil, trying to pierce the veil. Revelation tells us that there is an angel that's released from heaven with the key to the bottomless pit to open this portal into the abyss, into the darkness. And you just got to wonder, could CERN be that portal?
If I tell you what, when that angel comes down and gives that key, see, here's one weird thing. Even having this conversation is they absolutely know the Bible, right?
Yes.
That angel that comes down with the key, they know who that is. They also know who's in the pit themselves
Yes.
that wants out, right?
Yes.
Because of the word is, they see us at times. So they absolutely know the spiritual part of things.
Yes.
We, the Christians, we're the ones that don't believe the spiritual side of things too much. Not too much, because we're just not, a lot of
we
people
don't
aren't
want to
coming
know.
that
It's
way.
because we don't want to know. I mean, the more I read about the bottomless pit, and the more I recognize that there has to be a portal to hell, and that because it talks about in Revelation that there's more demons that have to be released. There's 4 from the river Euphrates area, okay, and that this one that comes out of the bottomless pit, Apollyon. So we don't want to know what's down there, but they know what's there.
We've done that too many times, you should know. Okay, so he laid hold on the old dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. Literally, it's thousands years. So it's more than 1,000, but it doesn't specify how many. And he cast him into a bottomless pit and shut him up and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more. I am really of the opinion that bottomless pit is another dimension, and that seal, of course, is the ether that keeps him from crossing over, unless someone through the technology, like in the case, we could say in the case of CERN, and let me just pull that up, right? The Hadron Collider.
Let me, you see that creature right there? Somebody had sent that to me. That made me think about the, when Paul and Mike were saying the other day about the 3 unclean spirits like frogs, because like I said, I've been told they have like a lizard, like a head, similar to what a frog would look like. And even though they have like dinosaur type feet there, as you can see, and this statue, some statue down in South America, from what I understand there, and very muscular, like I said, the scripture, when I look at the book of Joel, these entities that come in, they're like horses, but like a horseman, in other words, like a man that runs, the guy that rides a horse, he runs on his hind 2 legs. That's the way they run. And they're just monstrous in size, 12 foot tall, from what I've heard, 9 to 12 foot tall. They got feet, even though they're not frog feet webbed, they still kind of look like a frog's foot. So, could that be something to think about? This, well, just a thought.
You could have something like CERN that could literally open up another dimension, could open up that spot that allows Satan to enter in. And I think that's exactly where we're headed. I think that that's exactly what they're doing. And I think that this is the way they're doing it, just like Atlantis. They're bringing in Satan. They're put in there for that till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And after that, he must be loosed a little season. Going to be loosed a little season. Yeah, about to be loosed right now. And I saw thrones, and they that sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them.
This is important right here. Very important.
And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Jesus.
You got to remember the scripture, we're talking about a beast kingdom. All right. The devil is considered a serpent. Jesus said about the Pharisees that they were serpents and vipers, seed of serpent. Seed of serpent, well, he put all the bloodshed upon them all the way back to Cain, or Abel, that Cain slew in the Garden of Eden. All right. Keep that all in mind. And now I'm going to talk about the thrones that are set up. It looks like a godly thing until you see what's going to happen.
It's interesting that one part of the verse to start with. I think generally we look at that, and I saw thrones, and they that sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. We think of that as a good thing.
Okay, I do have to add here that what we're seeing with this, I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Jesus. Now, what's happening right here in the world today is that they are uncovering the deception that has been made upon people who have taken religion and made it a part of their life. So this whole beheading of Christians is just like a figure of speech, because right now what's coming undone is the fallacy that the religions have done upon the minds of the people. And I'm not trying to offend anyone, but Jesus is the Son. And we're talking about astrotheology whenever we're talking about the 12 apostles. We're talking about the 12 constellations, the 12 houses of the zodiac. We're talking about the main principle of why we're here and those timelines of why we chose to come here in each of these suits that we call a body. It is tied to the zodiac signs. It is not witchcraft, but it is the zodiac that dictates what type of role we play in this existence. And that's just it. It's almost like this whole script is written before we even come here. And that's how they can keep time by this clock that they call the zodiac, whether it be from India or whether it be from the West. It's a timekeeper of information for us to know ourselves fully and to know that only nature holds the truth. This is where this whole Jesus notion comes in, is that nature holds the truth. Your heart is connected to nature because your heart leads you in the proper direction. When you are led by love and comprehension of all your brothers and sisters, without fighting, without judgment, you become Jesus. You become the light of the sun. And the Elohim, the 7 Elohim are the 7 planetary bodies and the only ones that matter. Neptune and Pluto do not matter. They've been thrown in there as part of a deception. NASA is a lie. Space is a lie, at least in the way that it's being taught. We must rethink what this serpent is actually trying to do to our minds. The outer space is the space all around us that has been created for this physical experience, but people cannot grasp that. So there's a lot of things that are tied in to this biblical perspective that is still skewed in such a way that people cannot see. And that was the whole point of a lot of this writing being rewritten and edited by men. Not necessarily human, but entities that wanted to bring about this great deception upon man in order for man to make a fallacy upon the earth and to bring a great woe, just as it's taught in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. Now, let's talk about that for a moment. The Emerald Tablets of Thoth is being spoken of as an evil book, and that Thoth was an evil person. Now, based on the writings that I've seen, obviously it could be man-made stuff that's in that book, but everything that I've seen in that book has not been anything of darkness. What's of darkness is some of the magical practice. Now, I do warn people from using words and terms that you do not know, using magical spells that you do not know, because those things can backfire on you. The serpent has been very busy rewriting everything to be a trick upon us. And we are in the time of the Great Deception. We are in the Dark Ages, according to Western astrotheology. I always stress this because the Vedic astrology says something different. Is that one altered as well? I don't know. I don't know how much truth there truly is anywhere in the world, because the serpent has been around the world tricking nations, fooling all of humanity, not just one group. We are not talking about Jews who are out here doing this stuff. It is the serpent that is portraying themselves as Jewish. It is portraying themselves as Islam. It is portraying themselves as Christians. It's doing all of this stuff, and it's creating all of this disturbance in the world. All of the distractions, all of the warring, all of the fighting is being done by these serpents and these demons from the underworld. This is one of the things I want to stress. Even from every angle, it points in this direction that absolutely there are serpents that look like humans. They have this technology that can hide themselves and disguise themselves, just like the movie They Live. This is an absolution upon the earth that we must start to grasp, and that your thoughts are not always your own, and you must know yourself. Know thyself is also in the magical practice, because if you do not know yourself fully and you cannot control your states of consciousness and awareness and your emotional states, then you will be susceptible to these beings. This is why it's very important to ground yourself. If you have trouble with anger issues, or if you judge others very readily, you must start practicing meditation, just sitting in silence, just going out in nature. Get away from the things that trigger you. Try to change your consciousness if you can. This is all an experience to grow from, and to walk the path of the golden light is the path of solidarity to the sun, the light of the sun. Now, what it says right here, this is very important. And for the word of God, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image. The beast is mostly been us. We have been the beasts of burden for these entities. They have created the slave system. They have enslaved humanity. This all stems back to the Middle East. Every bit of it stems to the Middle East when they developed the Silk Road, when they started worshiping material things, and I suspect it was during the age of Taurus, which was over 4,000 years ago. But I do not have proof of this. I do not know how to read the stars. I am not an all-knowing being, but I am trying desperately to find out where the truth lies. And when you study the zodiac, at least in Western astrotheology, you get a grasp of what these different energies are about. And the age of Taurus is the age of earthly things and earthly desires, because that's what Taurus is. The bull is an earth sign. And so with that, they started this whole notion of tying us to a monetary system, basically. Instead of trade goods, they went around saying, hey, look, this gold and silver, and then these coins and these dollars and all these things that came after, they evolved into where we are today. But our gold standard was taken a long time ago, and they wanted to remove that power. But what is gold? You know, that's the thing. Like, what value does gold have to oligarchs? There's something very special about gold and silver. And I do suspect that it has a lot to do with longevity of life. And I believe that you can create an elixir of life with the two substances. And I have practiced some things, and I've experimented with some things, and I do have a little bit of interest in that regard, and experience that I've seen is very strange. But this whole notion, let's get back to this, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads. I showed the video where they are actually using this with those requirements, you know, those passports that people are getting, that they are now using technology to read whether someone has had their little jab or not. And it is indicating on these monitors that they have now that are using some sort of combination between UV monitoring and the FLIR photography or heat signature. They've combined the two to have a purple screen to be able to see the marks that are inside of people when you travel to the airport. And that's what the great purpling is about. They are putting out these purple lights, they're UV lights that will identify you on public transportation. It's rolling out as we speak. I've seen it at the bus station where they've changed the lights over the highway and they're purple now. And you hear, go and research about the great purpling and what's going on there, because they are going to have these 15-minute cities where only those people who have the mark will be a part of that society. You will not be able to enter a grocery store or go and buy and sell without the mark. And it is the mark of the beast, because the people are the beasts. They are the beasts for these entities, but people cannot see it. This is why I hold no value to money. We need money to survive, but I cannot be swayed with money. That's why I refuse to go back to Hollywood. It's why I refuse to do anything. My spirit pulls me in the direction of shedding everything that I own. But some grace of good spirits is guiding me to remain safe where I am, because I speak about the truth. I try to get this kind of information out to the populace. I need more people to hear the message, but I am only one person. So the only thing I can ask of anyone else is to share these videos. This is the most important thing I can ever do in my entire life, is to give selflessly this information. I do not get paid for any of this information. I do this because I see the value of the importance of all of it, and sharing it openly with others is the most important thing that I can ever do. And I am just trying to walk in the white light of the sun and trying to do what's right. So just be warned. But it also says that those who didn't get this mark lived and reigned for 1,000 years. There's going to be 1,000 years of peace that comes after the war. And when is the war going to end? I don't know. I don't know if we're in the 7-year war that's been spoken of, if it's really going to get better after a little while. I know that it's going to dive straight headlong into darkness at some point, where we will see this division of the world that we know moving into the technocratic state and the state of, people living naturally among the land, because there cannot be more of one than the other. Dark can't override light completely. And what I see rising is that more people are embracing the natural world, while more people are embracing the technology. And those two factions will be the dividing force for the age of Aquarius.
But then it follows with, and I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Jesus and the word of God, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image. Maybe those thrones are what is being set up for that little season by Satan to bring about judgment against those Christians that have a testimony of Jesus.
Let me just add that this whole Son of God, very important. It's the S-U-N of God, because only God can own the Son. That's why it's God's Son, not yours or mine. It's God's. And that is found with Jordan Maxwell's work. Yeah, so this whole notion of the beheading of the Christians is going to basically upset the apple cart with a lot of the Christian religion, the faith that it's upheld when they find out the truth about all of it. There's those of us who've been on the outside that have known what's coming. The truth is rising and mounting on all fronts about literally everything. And anything that was of deception is going to be revealed, obviously. And it's going to just be a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people who have really sunk their faith into a book that told them things that they really didn't understand. And it's nobody's fault except, they've shunned most people who have tried to just help them see beyond one teaching, which most people don't do. They just put faith in things, so that just creates a belief instead of a knowing. And knowing the foundations of things helps you. Like, where do things come from? Where are the origins of all of the things that we have in our society? Most people don't have that kind of curiosity. So they truly don't try to dig even farther than their own nose about anything. So it is a fallacy of man to not know their own history. But it's part of the deception of the serpents and the dark spirits to do so. But the beheading is going to be a turmoil. It's not going to be a physical act against anyone. It's just a figure of speech that now we have to change what the sun represents for the age of Aquarius, because Jesus is no more. So Jesus has to go to the wayside, and the truth about Jesus has to come out and be known to everyone in order for humanity to move forwards. They made an idol out of this Jesus character, which is really the Son. It's the Son of God, because if he does not rise in the morning, because he's the risen Savior of all humanity, if the sun doesn't rise in the morning, then we're all dead, right? So we can't live without the sun. The sun is the light of the world. So if you really put it in the context of it being the sun, with everything that's spoken of in the Bible as being the S-U-N, not the S-O-N, then you go, oh my gosh. I mean, it overlays perfectly. And just looking into the stars and the truth about the stars, not what they're actually spinning as tales and lies for deceiving more minds, then you get a hunch about how they've been doing magic and how these different practices are made, and that they've basically usurped all of the powers that we had and given us lies so that we would be disempowered. But when you look into the magical practice and you find that it's the highest knowledge in this existence, and that our voice was taken from us as well because our language was altered, and we're not really supposed to be using our voice in this manner to communicate, then you really know that we've been just completely disempowered. All of our tools have been removed. And who has done this? Well, greedy men get crazy over power and corrupt minds and summoning spirits. And the spirits then start taking over their bodies. They trick them, because that's what serpent spirits can do. They can trick the minds of men into bringing more spirits into the world for very dark purposes, because man gets really greedy, just like what they say. Our government has been trading technology with aliens. They're not aliens, they're from the underworld. And yes, they're trading information for people, for souls. This is what they do. They are from the underworld. And now humanity has gotten us in a big mess. We're in trouble, deep, but we have to know ourselves in order to survive. This is the most important message. So I hope you've liked this video. Just share, subscribe, and like, and help me get the algorithm off of my back, because that thing is keeping me back from getting the message out further. So I'll see you on the next one.